I'm here with Chris Lievsay, and we're going to talk about how, mayor, how it is being the mayor, and,
Sure.
More get-to-know-you questions.
Absolutely.
So, first off, how is it like so far, taking over for Carson Ross, who's in the position for so long?
Yeah, fortunately, I was a council member for a long time, for actually most of the time that Carson was mayor, and so I got to work with him a lot and experience what it was like up close to have him as the mayor. So it's obviously different. Our approaches are different to some things, but I tried to make sure to keep that level of excellence that we came to expect, and I have a passion for the city just like he did, and expect to do some good things to come out of that. So.
Nice. I think that's a great opportunity to be that close and not just come into it blindsided, basically.
Yeah, it was great, and like I said, I got to work with him a long time. So, and he's still around. We talk every once in a while. You'll still catch him up at Blue Surf Bay, and I run into him there every once in a while. So he's still around, and it's great.
Good. What did you say so far has been your favorite part about being the mayor?
Yeah, well, even as a council member, this type of stuff is my favorite part. I get to go into schools and talk to kids, we've recognized some of the accomplishments at both high schools so far, some sports team that have won some state championships. And so that kind of stuff, being in the community, meeting people and talking to them, that's what I really enjoy. It's what I enjoyed as a council member. It's what I get to enjoy even a little bit more as mayor, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. I heard, or someone heard recently about some legislators talking about taking away recess for the elementary schools.
Really? Okay.
I didn't know if you knew anything about that, or...
I have not, no. The state legislature starts up here in January. There's always a lot of bills filed, some of them that will never become law, and it does get interesting at times. So, especially in the space of education, there's never a shortage of opinions and ideas about how to move forward. Independence, as you know, is kind of doing an experiment right now with the 4-day school week. So, taking recess away is an interesting one. I've not heard that, but I imagine probably not a lot of happy elementary school kids would be interested in that. So,
lots of people have said that downtown Blue Springs doesn't really compare more to downtown Lee Summit. Do you have any plan for maybe a restoration or anything?
Yeah, so actually there's a lot of exciting things happening downtown right now, even just since I've been mayor. So in March of this year, March of 24, we completed a process, about a 6-month process, to do a new downtown master plan. And so that was developed with the elected officials, with input from the community, different stakeholders and business owners and all of that. So the city council passed that in March. When I was elected in April, then in May, the city council approved a task force we created to prioritize a lot of those things in that plan. So the plan is just a list of a lot of great ideas that were developed with the consultant, but there wasn't really an order to accomplish them. Oh, okay. And so the task force put together, again, residents in the community, business owners downtown, some people that are in leadership in some organizations that benefit downtown, like the CID and the Downtown Alive and CDBG committee. And so they put those into a list of what we could accomplish in a short amount of time, and what would have the biggest impact on downtown over time. And so once they made that presentation, I want to say it was August of this year, the city council approved 3 resolutions to begin taking action. One of those is, believe it or not, there's a Central Park that nobody seems to know about. It's where the train depot is. It's kind of across the street from the police station.
Oh, yeah.
So and the community garden's right there, and there's a parking lot. So that is technically a park, a city park. It's called Central Park. Behind the depot is a pond. And so that was an area we thought we could better utilize to be kind of a gathering place for people to come downtown, for kids to play in, for people to hang out. And then the second thing was to improve the streetscape of downtown. So the way it looks now with Main Street, with the parallel or with the angled parking and all that, we haven't decided what exactly that will look like, but we'll have some options presented to us. And we we have some money that was actually passed in the August bond election that will actually be used for that. The residents approved some money to be used for the downtown streetscape. And then there's some property downtown that the city owns. It's called the Lumber Yard is what used to be there. And we have issued an RFP, request for proposal, to see what developers might propose to build there. So all that's in process right now. A lot of that's due here next month or two, and you'll start to see some progress on those things.
Nice.
So.
Well, that sounds, amazing.
Yeah, there are some good businesses down there. I frequent them a lot. There's some restaurants, and there's an arcade and all sorts of good things already. They've had a lot of good progress over the last, especially 10 years or so. Yeah. But, it can be better, and we're working on it.
Where can we find all the information about that? If people want to know more about what is going to happen.
Sure.
Is there a certain place we can go and find that?
Yeah, so the city's website has a page specifically dedicated to not only downtown but also this process. And so there's a list of regular updates that has what the progress is, what the steps are pending, and so you can go to the website and see that. The city's website also has a function that's really a good way to stay informed just generally. If you register your email address or whatever, you can select whatever information you want. So if you want to see every proposal that ever comes out of the city, you can click all the boxes and you'll just get emails all day long. If you just want the agendas for the meetings, you can do that. So you can decide what that looks like. But also there's a group called Downtown Alive, and their focus and their mission is to improve downtown, to make sure the businesses thrive, and to maintain the integrity of our historic downtown. And so that would be getting connected with them, getting involved with their committees would be a good way to do that as well.
Wow. Nice. So I hear that being mayor isn't a full-time job. It's more of a part-time job, but with a lot of hours worked into it. How do you feel about that, and what do you do outside of that to have another job? Yeah,
so it's not a full-time paid job, but yes, it does require a lot of hours. It's not the type of job that you're sitting in an office 40 hours a week out in the community doing these kind of things, and I have the opportunity to do that a lot. I do have what I call a real job. I work for a media company. I do intelligence briefings for corporate clients, so it's not as exciting as it sounds. I sit at a computer and for a long time and develop these briefings for them, but it pays the bills and allows me to do this. It gives me some flexibility to do this as well, so it works out. I have done some other things in the past. I worked in higher education and have some experience in lots of different areas, but that's what I'm doing right now. So
nice. So I hear that you're a South alum.
Yeah, so I attended South. I told Pete when we were talking earlier, I didn't graduate. It's a long story. The short version is I had to leave partway through my junior year. I got sick, and I'm a type 1 diabetic and found out that year. But yeah, it was great. I've grown up in Blue Springs, so I wasn't born here, but since I was in elementary school, I've gone through the whole system. So
nice.
It was a long time ago. I always joke it was 100 years ago, but it was a good time. So the school's different than it was back then.
Yes, but, lots of updates, especially in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I can do all those old stories like back in my day, the wall ended here, and that kind of stuff. So,
what do you feel like? Do you have any favorite places to eat out in Blue Springs?
Yeah, so I obviously try to keep it local to the local restaurants. So downtown Blue Springs we were talking about has got some great places. There's a pizza shop downtown and Brewers. For those that like the brewery
East Fort.
Yeah, Brewers has got great food. Even there's another pizza place called The Pizza Place. That's a local guy that has a couple locations. Sandy's down in the south part of town. And Sinclair's up north. So whenever we have a date night or whatever, we try to focus on those places, and we enjoy them as well. They're good places to eat and hang out. So
nice. Sorry. So the Christmas tree lighting was moved this year to Rotary Park. What was the idea behind that?
Yeah, so the Parks Department have been working on a long time that they wanted to have some kind of winter event. We have Red, White, and Blue Springs in the summer.
Right.
We have some spring events. The sports and all that is intermixed throughout the year, but there wasn't any real winter event.
Right.
And so they had been kind of wanting to do something. And then when I became mayor, some feedback I had heard from the residents was, we need to make Christmas better in Blue Springs. And so I said, yep, I agree with it. Let's move the tree and do something new. And they did a great job. They put a lot of work into it. They started wrapping those trees and putting the lights up back in September. Our assistant administrator, Dennis Doval, he was the parks director before he was assistant administrator, so he had been involved in the process the whole time. And so it looks great. I think it's met expectations. Everybody seems pretty excited about it, and it's unique for our area. Besides the county drive-through, there's not really anything else like it here in our neck of the woods. So it's pretty cool.
So I know you mentioned being a council member. How long were you a council member before you were mayor?
Yeah, so I was elected in 2010. So I was on the city council for 14 years before I was elected mayor.
Wow.
So like I said, a lot of that time was we had a lot of the same elected officials, a lot of consistency. And recent years we've had some changes, but it was a good experience. So.
Yeah, it seems like mostly who you've talked about have like moved up in positions, and they're not just like moving up in like in the hierarchy, but like not outside hires.
Yeah, we have just talking about employees, we have had some people that have been able to move up and do some we've had some turnover, but a lot of good people in good positions right now, and I think we're puts us in a position to make some progress. So
nice. So the World Cup is coming up next year.
It is.
Is there any way that you plan to prepare for this?
Yeah, so actually I was just part of the Out of the Blue presentations that all three high schools participated in. I think that was last Friday, and they had a lot of great ideas, some that we had not talked about. So the Chamber of Commerce has a task force right now that they're really providing updates, but we're working together with them to figure out what it is we need to do to make sure we're prepared for that. So it's everything from, do you need new regulations and new rules, or maybe loosen some rules for the visitors and the tourists that are coming, to, are we going to plan an event, or what's that event going to look like, and how can we best utilize our businesses and make sure they are benefiting from the large amount of people that are going to be in town. Transportation, what parts of the community do we highlight, what do we have that other cities don't have in the region. So a lot of those discussions going on. Everybody in the whole region's having those discussions, so we're trying to figure it out just like everybody else. But yeah, a lot of good planning going on.
So I think recently the city voted on having chickens.
They did. That's true.
Do you know what the outcome of that voting was?
Yeah, so that's been a couple-year discussion. A lot of different ins and outs of that that are probably not worth rehashing now. The most recent, I think, that you're mentioning is there was a proposal put out, I want to say in early November. The council did not vote to support allowing chickens in Blue Springs. So currently
My mom's not going to be happy.
They're not allowed, they're part of the complication to that is there is a state law change that happened last legislative session. And it removes the ability of HOAs to restrict chickens. And so that's an unusual thing. Often homeowners associations have the ability to kind of make their own rules for their neighborhood. There are a few things the state has preempted that over the years, but this was one that just happens to be, we're having this discussion, and it very much complicated the issue. So as of now, yes, chickens are not allowed in Blue Springs. So
how has, like, the water park is obviously a very new addition to our city, and it was recently named after the former mayor. Have you visited the water park?
Oh, yes. So we're members of the park throughout the summer. I've got 2 kids, and so we went there very regularly. So it was we've had the first full season, especially of the outdoor park. It was very successful. A lot of people attended. We, have certain policies that kind of restrict and utilize it mostly for residents in the region initially. And so we'll work some of those policies out over time. But it was very successful for its first season. So
I asked some students around South some questions, and someone was asking if like Blue Springs gives you like a different house to live in while you're mayor.
Oh,
and I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask anyways because I thought it was a funny
No,
question.
there's no Blue Springs mansion or anything. I'm not even
You
sure.
don't get a White House?
No, there's no White House. But we have lots of good houses in Blue Springs, so lots of real estate to talk to. But no mayor mansion or anything like that.
What's that? I feel like I got through my questions real quickly.
No, that's all right.
That's about that. I mean, is there anything you would like to talk about? I mean...
No, just if you're talking about my background a little bit. So I've on my personal side, I've been married for 19 years. Met my wife Grace at church, and we grew up when we were younger. We're kind of high school sweethearts. I've got 2 kids. One goes to Brittany Hill. My son Benjamin's in 6th grade, and my daughter Emily's still at James Walker in 4th grade. So they're what I do outside of doing the mayor stuff and doing my real job. Keeping up with them is also keeps me busy. So they often come with me to events and out in the community, and most of the time they enjoy it. They're still kids, so
Most of the time.
sometimes it gets a little taxing, but yeah, they're a large part of what keeps me busy outside of this other stuff. A lot of good things we have planned for the future. So I mentioned in August the community approved a bond issue that was $40 million. That's just street and infrastructure projects. So one of the main things will be street maintenance. We hear a lot about that in the community, making sure our roads are maintained well. And so already that process is going. We'll probably put about $10 million into street maintenance next year. Will get us about 50 miles of lane miles. So Blue Springs has about 260 miles of roads. And so this will get us about a full fifth of the whole system. So it won't get us all the way where we need to be, but it'll be big progress. And that bond election also had several other infrastructure projects, like a turn lane on Duncan and reformatting Mach and 7 and some things like that. So over the next several years, that will be big for the community as well. Downtown's a big thing you talked about, and then we've got a lot of economic development stuff that we're working on as well. So hope to see some of that be successful.
Is it true that there's a Dutch Bros coming to Blue Springs, hopefully?
So the city council has approved a Dutch Bros to be right at the corner, already Mize and 7. So what the timeline is, after we approve it, it's kind of up to the developer if and when they actually build what we approve. But our understanding is they do plan to build a Dutch Bros kind of right there by the Popeyes chicken, that parking lot. Yeah. So that should be coming soon.
And then I know recently, right before I-70, there was like construction going on, like some buildings were knocked down.
Yeah.
Do you know what's going on over there?
Yeah, so right there at the corner, right across the street from Whataburger is a slider burger place. It's called, I think, Small's Sliders. But it's already under construction. Actually, next week, I hear, is when they will start putting, it's kind of a modular building. Okay. So they're going to bring in those pieces of the building next week and start to assemble it. And so we're doing sort of a ribbon cutting, or I guess groundbreaking would be a better term, next week. So you'll start to see that come together pretty soon. And that'll be a big change for that intersection right there off I-70. So.
I don't know if I have any questions. You did a really good job. You're a great person to explain stuff. So
there are a few other developments that have been of interest. So McAllister's Deli, we've approved to have them build over in the Adams Dairy Landing area, kind of right next to Arby's. There's a little lot there. Okay. And so again, don't know what the timeline is, but they've been approved through the council
whenever they feel like,
when they get around to it. Yeah, I mean the Small Sliders they've really got on it, so it's already almost done. Also, at some point, again, don't have a lot of details. Tim Hortons is apparently coming over to Woods Chapel. They're apparently very big. It's like McDonald's in Canada. Yeah. They're on every corner in Canada, but they're kind of new to the U.S. market. So this will be the first one in the region. I'm sure they'll build more over time, but that'll be big for our area once I think maybe next spring is what I hear. They might actually start making some progress. And then we had a new place called Swig open up by the Walmart, and that's been very successful already too. It's busy all the time, and Who knew that
Always
just
packed.
flavored soda would be that impressive? But they're doing some good business, and they're always busy. So
yes, they
so
are.
a lot of good things happening. The community generally has requested to do kind of more full service restaurants, kind of move on to that next level, and so that's what we hope to achieve. Economic development's a hard thing. You can't force people to come to the city.
Right.
Best we can do is make sure they know we're here, make sure they know what we have to offer, what the community demographics and all of that are, and then if they tell us no, at least we can find out why, and if it's something we can work on, we can try, and if it's not, then we move on to the next person.
Right.
So that's kind of how it works.
I mean, I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
We can be done if you want to.
Well, that's great. Whatever you need, I'm at your disposal. So
I'm good, but
okay.
But
Very
thank you
good.
for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.